Welcome to Flow. Let's get started. Come to lie on your back, bring the bottoms of your feet together. Maybe bring one hand to the belly, one hand to the heart. Allow your eyes to close and give yourself a few moments of breath here. Notice the movement of your belly and your chest as you inhale and exhale. And then reach your arms up overhead. We take a little side bend, catch your right wrist and tip your body up and over towards the left. Breathe a little additional space into the right side of your body, and now switch. Catch your left wrist with your right hand and tip yourself up and over towards the right. And again, find that additional space all along your left side. Come back to center, pull your knees in towards your chest and rock and roll yourself upright. We're coming into an all fours tabletop position. Find a neutral position, bring your shoulders over your wrists and your hips over your knees. And then start to draw some circles through your spine, through your head, through your neck. Just to find some movement and warmth through your spine and through the major joints of your body. You can take this as quickly or slowly as feels good. Try to get further in your range of motion with every circle. And then start to take this the opposite direction. So big circles through the hips, through the ribs, and through the head and the neck. Notice if you're holding on to some tension, maybe in your face or your jaw, try to release that. And now bring yourself back to a neutral position and extend your right leg straight out to the side. Now from here, send your hips back towards your left heel and then bring your hips forward. So we're just going to move through this backwards and forwards. So we find a little more stretch through the inner right thigh especially. Just some extra movement there. Keep moving backwards and forwards with breath. Go at your own pace. And now bring your left hand to the center of the chest, extend your right arm up, and then thread the needle so your right arm comes underneath your left. And then option to extend your left fingertips straight forward. So this is a variation of a thread the needle with your right leg extended out to the side. So you might feel a little more intensity through the right inner thigh. Keep your breath going in this twist. With every exhale, think that your chest could rotate up towards the ceiling. And now we come out of this, bring your left hand next to your nose, reach your right arm up, find this twist again. Bring both hands down and now take your right leg so it's directly behind your hip. Now adjust your lower spine and then lift your right leg up in 10 little lifts here. Lift your right leg only to hip height and then bring it back down. So we're starting to find some activation, especially in your lower right glute. Notice if you're kind of dumping into your lower back, you want to imagine that you could put like a hot cup of coffee on your lower back. 10 times here. And then on your 10th time, keep your leg lifted and pull your heel towards your glute. So we start to feel a little more activation in the glute, of course, but then also in your right hamstring starts to fire up as well. Try to keep the rest of your body completely still and stable. 10 of these sets here. Imagine like you're moving through water. Try to give yourself a little bit of resistance. And then after your 10th time, flip your bottom left toes, three-legged dog. Bend your right knee, open your hip. Option to take a little bit of movement through the top leg, maybe roll out the ankle. And then bring yourself back to downward facing dog. And then from this downward facing dog, take a little bit of movement if you want to pedal through your feet. And we're taking everything on the second side, so bring your knees back down towards the mat. And then from here, extend your left leg straight out to the side. And then start to move your hips forwards and backwards. So we start to feel that nice inner thigh and groin opening all along the left side. Our inner thighs get a lot of work, but they don't get a lot of love, especially with stretching and mobility. We transition, bring the right hand to the center of your chest, lift your left arm up, and then thread your needle so your left arm comes underneath your right, and then option to extend your right fingertips to the front of your mat. And now think that you could try to rotate your heart space up towards the ceiling. So we maybe feel a little deeper stretch through the left inner thigh and groin. And now we slowly transition so the right hand will come right next to your nose. Press down into your right hand, reach your left arm up, and then both hands come back down to the mat. Take your left leg, bring it directly behind your left hip, square both of your hips down to your mat, and then 10 lifts here, up and down. So think of your two hip bones like headlights of a car. Your left hip might want to lift slightly. Try to keep both of your hips pointed straight down towards the mat. Activate through your left glute. Engage the core to protect your lower back. And then after you've taken this 10 times, keep the leg lifted and pull your left heel towards your left glute. So we feel that fire through the left glute, but we also start to feel some activation through the left hamstring. Imagine moving through water. We take this 10 times. And then on your 10th time, keep your left knee bent. Flip your bottom right toes, three-legged dog, reach your left leg up into the air, and then bend your left knee and open your hip. Find this nice opening through the front of your left hip into the hip flexor. Find any sort of movement if that feels good in your body. And then bring yourself back down to our downward facing dog. From downward facing dog, walk your feet forward towards your hands. Ragdoll pose, separate your feet. Find a little soft bend through the knees. I always like to grab elbow to elbow. It adds some additional weight, and I feel it lengthens a little more through the spine. You can find that. Maybe you want to find some gentle sway or movement here. Just make sure that your breath is still moving. And then any bind you have with your arms, slowly let that go. Bend your knees a little deeper and roll yourself all the way up to stand. Feel your vertebrae stack. Shoulders, chin, and gaze are the last things to arrive. And then once you get there, give yourself a few shoulder rolls. And now from here, separate your feet hips width distance apart. Send your hips back. We're coming into a chair pose squat. So your knees should be tracking right over your toes. Make sure that your knees aren't knocking in towards each other. Feel the activation of your core. Now bring your hands to heart center, shift your weight to your left foot, extend your right leg out to the side, and then cross your right leg far back behind you. Try to maintain that deep bend through your supporting left knee. We take this 10 times total, so we start to feel a lot of work happening in the supporting left leg, that outer left glute. Try to maintain still through the rest of your body. It's just the right leg that's tapping to the side and then crossing behind. After your 10th time, pull your right knee up for a one-legged mountain pose. Find this moment of balance. Feel your bones stacked from the crown of your head all the way down to your bottom foot. We move from vertical to horizontal into this warrior 3 position. Think of a letter T. And now bring your hands to heart center, and we're gonna do a little more glute activating. So your lifted right leg, tap your toes, and then lift them up. We take this 10 times. So kind of similar to when we were on all fours. We wanna try to keep everything else in your body really still. You wanna maintain your 2 hips squared down to the ground. And then of course we're still balancing, so that's the challenge there with the supporting left leg. Now after your 10th time, we're gonna take an additional challenge here. Extend your arms forward once again, warrior 3, 10 seconds. Now I know your bottom leg is probably shaking and quivering. Try to stick with this. Give yourself a little bit of softness in that bottom knee. Square your 2 hips, reach forwards with your fingertips. Take one more big breath, inhale. Exhale, standing split. Bring your hands down to the ground and lift your right leg up. Now try to keep your 2 hips square. And you're probably noticing in this standing split, your glutes are still not getting a rest. Squeeze your right glute and try to lift your right ankle just a little bit higher. And now bend your top right knee, forward fold. Give yourself a little bit of a moment in this forward fold. Bend through your knees, shake your head yes and no. And then slowly, slowly roll yourself up, and we're going to take everything on the second side. Once you're at the top, give yourself a few shoulder rolls. And then separate your feet. Make sure they're hips width distance apart. And just as we did before, sit your hips back. Reach your arms forward, chair squat. Notice that the knees are knocking together. Keep them tracking over your toes. Bring your hands to your heart center, shift your weight to your right foot, extend your left leg out to the side, and then cross your left behind your right 10 times. So this is a balance challenge, especially for the outer right glute. We start to feel a lot of work there. Try to maintain a bend through your right knee. Try to keep your upper body as still and silent as you can. After your 10th time, bring your left knee up, one-legged mountain pose. Try to keep your balance on your right knee and reach your arms up. So we feel ourselves in a vertical position here. Head is stacked right on top of your bottom right ankle. Use your low belly to pull your left knee up. From vertical to horizontal, warrior 3. Here we go. Extend your left leg back long behind you. Find this balanced posture. You can have a soft little bend through the supporting right knee. Now bring your hands to your heart center and then lower your left toes and then lift. We take this 10 times. Try to keep everything else very still. Both of your hips are pointed straight down towards the ground. That left hip is going to want to open up. Try to maintain that it's pointed down towards your mat. Obviously, we feel the supporting right leg working. We feel the left glute working, but our core is working a lot for us here as well. And then after your 10th time, final balance challenge, extend your arms forward and breathe. Think of those times in dance class where we spend a lot of time on one leg. This is so good for finding the strength and balance that we need for those one leg balances and holds. Take one more breath in, standing split, bring your hands down, reach your left leg up a little bit higher. Now I know we still feel the activation through the left glute, through the right glute. Try to drop your head and just breathe into this stretch. Lift your left ankle 2 inches higher. Take one more big breath in, and then bend your top left knee and bring yourself down to a forward fold. Give your knees a little wiggle, shake your head yes and no, take a few moments. Now widen your feet. We're coming into a deep squat pose. So bring your toes so they're turning out to the side. Bring your hands to your heart center and then use your triceps against your knees to encourage your knees right over your toes. Now if you can't get your hips quite so low, keep your hips up higher. Maybe give yourself a little bit of a bolster like a block or some books. We're not here for long. Feel that space growing through your lower spine. Now reach your arms straight forward and then come down to your seat. We're coming into a deep glute stretch here. Bring your hands so they're a little further back underneath your shoulders and then cross your right ankle over your left knee. So you're in this upright position. And now option to take a little bit of side to side movement here. I like to do this so you feel the stretch a little bit differently throughout your right glute. And then from here, drop your right foot all the way over towards the left. So you're coming into a seated spinal twist. Reach your left arm up, cross it over your right thigh. Plug both of your butt bones into the ground. Every inhale, allow your spine to lengthen. And then every exhale, allow a little more twist through your body. Release, and we come into a counter twist up and over towards the left. Give yourself a few deep breaths into this counter twist. And then unravel, and we just take this to the other side. So now your left ankle will stack over your right knee, upright figure 4. And then you can take a little bit of side to side movement if that feels good. Flex your left foot a lot. Try to encourage your left knee open to the side. And then let your left knee fall all the way over towards the right for this seated spinal twist. Plug both of your butt bones down, lift your right arm up, bring it over your left thigh. With every inhale, allow length through your spine, and every exhale, allow a little more twist through the torso. Keep those breaths moving. And then release and come into your counter twist up and over towards the right. Take just a few moments here. Full big breath in and full exhale. And now unravel and bring yourself to a cross-legged position. Bring your hands to rest on your knees, palms down or up. Maybe allow your eyes to close. And then just take these final moments to reconnect with your breath. Allow any excess tension to melt away into your mat with every exhale. Thank you for joining us today. And that's your flow.